Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we're going to be talking about the idea of what if you just kept going? And I'm excited to get into this. But before that, I do want to invite you to come say hi to me on Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. I would love to get a DM from you. I'd love to start a conversation, become friends online. That would make me so super happy. So go ahead and do that. There's more information on how to spell my name in the show notes below. Also, if you'd rather send an email, my email address is down there too. I'd love to hear from you. I would just love to get to know you, like genuinely. So please, I hope that you do reach out to me, and I cannot wait to chat back with you. But again, today we are talking about what if you just kept going? There have been so many times I would just want to walk away from a situation because it just felt like so much work to fight. Like this incredible weight on my chest, on my shoulders, on my whole body wanting to weigh me down. And it was just so much work to keep going, to push through the pain and to move on from whether it's abuse, rejection, blatant hurt and disrespect. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it's always the better choice, right? And we all know that the better choice isn't always the easier or even the desired choice. It's usually the hardest choice. And, this goes along with just wanting to let the hurt and pain someone else slung on you keep you down. It's so much easier, right? I sometimes want to bathe in this sadness, and that sounds kind of gross and like super terrible, right? But sometimes I just want to bathe in the sadness and disrespect because I believe I deserve to do it. And that might sound crazy, or maybe some of you will be like, oh, I get you. But I just feel like I deserve to, which we all do deserve to express and feel our emotions, but it isn't helpful to sit in that pit of despair. Like, it's just really not. And you know that, and I know that, and we all know that together collectively as a group. And you might think you can sit there for a little bit though, and it will be okay. You might be like, Sabrina, no. Like, it's okay. It's cool. Like, I just do like many times, a little bit here, a little bit there, but a little bit here and there turns into a little bit everywhere. You can easily get stuck there if you aren't aware of how long you're in that pit. And believe me, I've got stuck in the pit. I'm sure you know someone else has gotten stuck in the pit. You've probably gotten stuck in the pit of despair. It's okay. You don't have to be shameful for it. It's totally normal, right? But it's something that we should try our hardest to avoid because it doesn't do anything to help us at all. If anything, it really pushes us backward in our journey of growth and becoming our best selves and just wanting to move on in life, So my biggest thing is I get caught up in wanting to acknowledge that I was hurt and someone needs to be held responsible. It's an annoying trait about me, I would have to say for sure. And I don't mean in a victim kind of way that I'm never the problem. No. I will happily admit when I'm wrong and when I'm the problem, but more of a getting an apology when someone else has clearly done me wrong. That's definitely where I am. But that isn't always going to be the case, right? So going around making sure everyone knows you were wronged and hurt and who should be making things right, this isn't going to fix how you feel after what has happened. Sometimes even if they do apologize, it still might sting. It's so painful. And it's amazing how I know this, and you probably know this, and many of us know this, that, still wanting to cling to that hurt and hold it close to our chest like it's a, old but sentimental teddy bear, that's not going to help us. But for whatever reason, in the moment, we think it will, and we think that we are justified in feeling that, someone needs to be held responsible. And that's one of my biggest flaws is feeling like someone needs to be held responsible. And even if they are, a lot of people are, like I said, even if you expect an apology, you're probably not going to get one, or you might. And even if you do, sometimes it's still not enough, right? It's not going to fill that void that you've created. It's kind of been dug out in your mind and in your heart. So It's important to realize that you have to be able to move on. You have to be able to accept the fact that you might get an apology and it might help a little bit, but you might not. And you'll have to accept that reality as well, regardless of how it turns out. So this is why we should choose the path of just moving forward. And I know I'm making this sound like really simple. And I know it's not. It's absolutely not. But it's not the easy path to choose, but it's the best one to move on from the issue, the experience, and sometimes the pain, depending upon what it is, depending upon what's going on. And, maybe you're like me. Maybe you're like me and think that if you let it go, the person that hurt you won't learn their lesson and will do it again, either to you or someone else. And yes, this might happen. Honestly, it might be easier to just assume this will happen because it will make it easier for your brain to rationalize why moving forward is a better idea, right? And I'm not saying that you have to necessarily assume the worst by any means, but I'm just saying that it's easier for you to just think that, this possibly could happen again. And, me like holding back forgiveness or letting this issue go, it's not going to change anything about them. It might, maybe, there's always hope there, but I can't like know for certain that it will. So there's no reason to really like try to hold that over someone's head or, convince myself that that's going to be the truth. It's better just to move forward. And, I have asked myself this question of, what if I just kept going? Which is the title of this episode today. What if I just kept going? When I feel like I am drowning in emotions, it feels like I'm drowning. It's probably because of all the crying. Oh, funny. And realizing that doing so isn't helping, just letting yourself drown in those emotions. It's one thing to feel them and understand them, acknowledge them, and really like be like, where is this coming from? And it's another to really just let it take over your whole being and not allow yourself to come up from under it, right? And but the problem with me though, and maybe someone else will resonate with this, is I am such a right and wrong type of person that it's hard for me to let injustices go or experiences when others weren't treated right because it doesn't seem fair. This is a word that comes up often in my life, fair, right? Fair, that word, it just sucks. It just does, and it doesn't seem right that only one side has to suffer. That's always what I'm thinking about, whether it's mine or someone else's, because I definitely come up for a lot of people. I'm like, I'm here to help you battle whatever this thing is. I am by your side. But life isn't fair, as we all know, and we don't live in an eye for eye Bible times anymore. And, despite the fact that some people, still live more in the Old Testament ways, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. It's not eye for an eye. And, we are not the judge and jury of anyone else. Only God is. And, I know that it can be hard to remind yourself of this truth when the hurt stings, because you're all wrapped up in how you're feeling and what's going on and the whole situation as a whole, and you have like an enemy in sight, right? You're all wrapped up. But if we move forward, the pain won't hurt as much because we are moving along to bigger and better things. And I truly believe that. Because by allowing this thing to just like kind of cover you and blanket you over and cover your eyes to what better experiences and opportunities you have if you just get past this thing, if you just move past it just a little bit. And a lot of times it only takes a couple steps, depending upon how bad it was and how much it shook us. Yeah, it might take a little bit longer. It might take like a few like Manhattan city blocks as opposed to, a couple like regular street blocks in the suburbs. But as long as we keep moving, we make an effort and understand that, the thing that really helps me, and this might sound a little petty, but I try to think of it in the best ways possible, is that we are not the judge and jury of other people. God is. And just know that God is going to do what God thinks is best. And maybe those people will get punished later, or, God's giving them a talking to or whatever. And you have to realize that God is so much smarter and wiser than us and already knows what's going to happen. So us trying to do his job is not helpful. We're kind of just getting in his way. So that's what really comforts me and makes me realize, okay, I need to focus on my own thing over here and not be so worried about what's going on with this other person. Because I think that I am in charge of justice, and we're not. We are really not. And we need to realize that if we just kept going, we could see how strong we are and how resilient and flexible we can be. For sure, more than we realize we can in the moment. And it's tough because I just want to pin every hurt that I get to my chest and make sure the person who hurt me knows the pain they have caused me. And I want them to feel bad about it. That's me being honest with you. That's me being vulnerable. That's me just letting you know that that's how I feel, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And if you're not ready to admit that out loud to the internet like I am, that's totally fine. But I'm here to do that, and I'm here to tell you that. And maybe it'll make it easier for you to admit that to yourself or to other people if you feel the need. But yeah, that's how I feel. I want them to know. But like I mentioned before, that generally doesn't help. Any time that I have done that, and I spent some time, reflecting back when I was writing this episode, thinking about wow, has that ever worked? No. Did it work that one time? No. But what about that other time that things worked out? Not really. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It generally doesn't help. And, I want you to know that, because a lot of times we want people to see us. We want people to realize and recognize that we have pain too. And maybe they're oblivious to that, or maybe they did it on purpose. And you want them to feel bad because they hurt you so deeply. So deeply. And it really just got to you. And I've been there, my friend. Absolutely. But it's not going to make any difference to them, especially if they did it on purpose, right? If they did it with the intent to hurt you and then you tell them that they hurt you, they're like, oh yeah, checking that one off the to-do list. Got it done. So they're not going to feel bad. They're going to feel victorious, congratulatory, excited. And I'm not saying you should hide it from them, that'll necessarily make them feel worse, have the opposite effect. It's just, you have to deal with it and move forward and deal with it in a way that's actually going to benefit you and not try to attack someone else. You're kind of just doing what they're doing, right? And you might feel justified, but you're probably not, unfortunately. The other thing I wanted to mention in this question of asking yourself, what would happen if we just kept going, is to consider still being nice and kind to those that hurt you. To be honest, this, me reflecting on, dealing with some pain and some hurt, but literally standing in my kitchen, emptying leftover dinner scraps into the garbage, got me thinking about this. And that's how I came to talk about this today, is I was thinking about wow, I really feel hurt and I really feel upset and angry right now. But what if I just kept being nice? What if I was still kind? What if we were nice and kind to the people that hurt us? What if we just kept going with how kind and thoughtful we were to others, even when treated nasty? Right? This is where it all sprung for me. But also, what if we still kept being calm in the middle of a storm? Something else I also thought about, because I was like, man, I really just want to spiral out of control right now, because that's what feels great right now. That's what feels like the right thing to do. Because that's the thing that I used to do. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I used to do that. I used to just let myself spin out of control and be upset and justified it and rationalize the whole thing and been like, it's okay because I was hurt. I'm going through pain. This really sucks. And yeah, it does really suck. It does. We can all admit that. We can go together and be like, hey, this sucks. Yeah, it does. But it doesn't mean that I need to not be calm. There's going to be moments when we're not calm, and like that's understandable because those are our feelings and our emotions. But if we're able to reel ourselves in a little bit and be calm in the middle of the storm, we are much better for it. We have a better level head on our shoulders to figure out what in the world do we need to do next. But also, what if we kept offering to help someone, no matter how many rejections we got, because we believed that one day they would say yes. One day they would actually take our help. One day they would actually extend their hand out and be like, please help me, Or we extend our hand out and they actually take it. Oh, it's really tough. It's really tough. And I think that, it's probably going to be a lot easier for you to, not have this idea of eye for an eye and be able and not want to throw your pain back in this other person's face. It's going to be a lot easier to accomplish that than it would necessarily be to continue to be nice to someone that's treating you like crap, that's being mean to you, that's hurting your feelings, whether it's on purpose or they're being oblivious and they don't realize they're doing it. And you haven't mustered up the courage enough yet to confront them. You don't know how. You don't know what to do. I get it. Been there many times. But I think that we should. It's really hard. It's really hard. I'm not perfect at it. No one is. But I feel like the more that we practice, the easier it'll come. That's with everything in life. And I'm not saying practice makes perfect. I think we need to stop using that phrase because no one's perfect and no one can be perfect at anything. But the more practice we do, the better we'll become. The easier it'll be to still extend kindness to someone else because not only will it be a better impact for you and you're not running out of control and feeling good about yourself and realizing you don't have to, answer eye for an eye, but also that you are being such a good role model for anyone else that's watching you. And I understand that some people really don't care about that. Some people are like, oh, I hope people are not looking at me. I don't want to be a role model. But just think about who is, whether it's your friends, your family, your kids, other people's kids, employers, just because you don't do it in real life doesn't mean you're allowed to do it on the internet or vice versa. You're still a role model wherever you are. I want you to know that. You might detest that. Sometimes it's annoying, but a lot of times it's good and it's helpful. And it helps us to be more accountable to ourselves because we realize that we're not just in a bubble where we can do whatever we want. That's not how it is. So let me leave you with this. What if we didn't give up or let the pain overcome us? Or realize this experience is only a drop in the bucket and part of this limited season of life. New seasons of life are turning over all the time. Some may feel longer than others. I get it. Been there. There's going to become an end, and then a new one's going to begin. And that's how beautiful life is. Change comes. We would be pretty proud of ourselves and we continue to be stronger than ever and still on the path to becoming our best selves if we just kept going. What if we just kept going? I want you to ask yourself that question next time that you run into a situation where you want to be hurt, or meaning like you want to feel the hurt and you rather feel that than actually deal with the problem. Or you just want to give up, or you want to retaliate, or you don't know what to do. You feel stuck. You want to wallow in your pain, or you feel like you're not moving forward. Push yourself forward. Don't give up. Keep going. What if you kept going? And I really hope this has encouraged you, because even telling you this today has encouraged me even more. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. Thank you so much for listening, downloading, sharing the show. I truly appreciate it. You guys make me so happy, bring so much light to my life, allowing me to come and talk to you and talk your ear off and share tips and advice and knowledge regarding life struggles and mental health. So thank you so much. I look forward to sharing again. And a quick reminder, please come say hi to me on Instagram. I'm at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or you can send me an old-fashioned email. I'd love to hear from you there too. You can send it to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. But Until next time, have a good one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.